Is Apple crazy thinking people will pay $17,000 for a watch? At their recent event, Apple formally introduced us to the Apple Watch. We'd seen demos before, but this was the first time they talked about actual pricing and availability specifics. The biggest bombshell wasn't the fact that the devices start at $350, but that they go as high as $17,000. Guys, can you explain a $17,000 watch to me? Am I crazy, or is that too much to pay for a watch? Is it just me? Do I just not know about watches? What do you guys think, Lewis? What?
It's I'm not a watch person. I'm not. I own a watch. I like it. Whatever. I bought it in store, and I remember looking at all the other watches there and seeing the price tags on them. And 17,000 is a dime compared to what other watches cost.
Really?
That said, being an Apple Watch, because it's an Apple Watch and because it has that battery and computer all built in, it's gonna need to be upgraded. I'm guessing within a year, maybe 2 years. So
Right.
what do you do then?
Right.
That's the question. Like, will Apple? All right, so Apple already said they're gonna do battery upgrades, and the battery's rated at 3 years.
Hmm.
But what about the processor? What about the RAM? What about whatever else is inside that watch?
Oh,
Are
so
they
the
gonna do those
battery
upgrades
life is
as well?
only the battery's only going to last like 3 years, and then you have to swap it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
I
Apple will
didn't
do
even
it
know
for you.
that.
Apple will do it for you, but I don't think they've said for how much. It's
Right.
assumed they might do it for free, but this is
Mm,
Apple,
yeah,
you might
no.
not get it for free.
Well, now that you said that 17,000 is a drop in the bucket, it all kind of makes sense now. If there are watches that are way more expensive, then sure, these are disposable, I guess, and I don't have any. I know I still have a problem with a $17,000
Of course,
watch.
yeah, I can't afford a seven. I could barely afford a $7 watch, But the point is that the fact that most of those watches that are like 20 grand, 50 grand and up, those become family whatever. You pass them down. Like the Apple Watch, you could pass it down, but
Here's
like
a
I said,
useless hunk of electronics,
Exactly.
son.
at one point or another, it's going to become a paperweight, a very expensive paperweight. So what do you do then? Do you just keep the strap and buy a new Apple Watch? Will Apple replace the RAM and the CPU and the battery? That's a big
Yeah.
question mark. That
I mean, with an analog watch, you could bring it to a repair shop. They clean out the insides. It probably can get going again. But like with electronics, yeah, at some point, like my old MP3 player, I can't. Like no matter what I do, no matter how clean I make the insides of that, that's not going to play again. Dan, what do you think? Was $17,000 you paying it? What are you doing?
You know, I think Apple should have just called it the face palm, because honestly, I mean, two things. If you're going to wear a watch, I would say that 80% of people would only wear a watch when they get dressed up.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like that's where I would wear a $17,000 watch.
Are we revealing ourselves to be classless proles, though?
Apparently we are. Yeah, but I mean, but here's the thing. It's like, if I'm going to spend $17,000 for a watch, well, hold it. Let me back up. If I had $17,000, I wouldn't buy a watch. Number one, but if I had that kind of disposable income, if I was going to buy a watch, I would buy something like a Rolex or something like that. Where now that should have been Apple's plan, is to team up with Rolex and come out with a $17,000 watch. Call it the Applex or something.
Roll Apple, roll
Rapple. There you
Yeah.
go.
Well,
Right.
see, is Apple trying to make themselves a new luxury brand? I mean,
Yeah, I think that's Apple's ultimate goal. Remember, they used to be called Apple Computers, then a couple of years ago, the computers from their name. I don't think they've quite reached the luxury brand just yet, but this is another huge leap toward that.
Right.
Well, it's
well, that's
gotta-
weird.
it's
You
gotta
tell
be.
me that watches are way more expensive than this. It's like, why didn't they go all in then? So, like, if you can get like a $25,000 watch, a $30,000 watch, and Apple's at 17, like
That's the thing, though.
like
They
a
want
half
to
measure,
they want to shake up that industry the same way that they shook up the music industry, and they want to go into the watch industry, which is, everyone says the watch industry is like, it has like only a couple of people that are really into it, the collectors, and that's it. So Apple wants to appeal to like you and I, who iPhone users out there. Well, I know you don't have an iPhone, but like the average person out there with a smartphone, and at the same time they want to hit those like really super duper high end ultra watch people who they see 17 grand for a gold watch. They're like, holy crap, that's
But I mean,
not
but let's
bad.
be serious. If you're in a store and you're looking at $17,000 watches, you're looking at what? Rolex. What are some other high-end watches like that?
Timex.
Which is always a good one, right? Yes, absolutely.
Definitely Rolex. There's
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way. If you're
Right.
going to choose between, I'll just use Rolex because it's the only one I know.
Sure.
If you're sitting there looking at an Apple Watch and looking at a Rolex for $17,000, which one are you going to think is the better bargain?
Right. Yeah, because Apple just hasn't made their name in that space yet. But maybe this will be what brings them.
Here's the thing. This is the thing. We're going to see this thing end up on the same shelf as that Apple hockey puck mouse that they came out with like a million years ago, or the Apple Lisa, or how about the Macintosh 20th anniversary edition?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, on one hand, you could say that they're getting into that luxury zone, but then they're not with the price, and so then they're in this weird gray area. And for the regular people like us that don't really know that's not a high-end watch, I just assumed it was. It's a very dangerous gray area to be in, you know?
I put it on the same level as I would like a Swatch watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Right,
I mean,
a little bit too much, but, you know...
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
if it's got a cool design, and if it's priced at a price point that is accessible to 90% of the market,
yeah.
I think they'd make money. But I don't. I think this is gonna die a slow, painful death.
I think they're gonna make it work. I mean, like when you really think about it, they already had that 20-page, 15-page ad in Vogue. It's already won awards. They had that big event at the Paris Fashion Show. I think. I don't remember what it was, like a really high-end watch boutique, whatever, where they had like a showing of the watch there.
Really?
I mean, it seems like Christy Turlington, was it? Yeah, Christy Turlington was at the event. So it seems like the fashion crowd, they're embracing it, and I think that's going to help build the watch even more. Even though personally I think it's crap, but I think I think it's going to work for them because they're going to play. They're going to play to like the average person who just likes geeky stuff, and they're going to play to the really high-end people who's like, oh, you know what? I want a $17,000 watch because I know no one else is going to afford it except me and some other dude or whatever.
So they're going to have
what's going to happen. The only way that this watch is going to make it is if they give you a free. If you buy a $17,000 watch from Apple, they better give you a free voucher for a free Apple car.
Yeah, coming soon. Well, that's our 2 cents. What's yours? What are your thoughts on an Apple Watch and its $17,000 price tag? All right, they do start at $350, but let's focus on the $17,000. Leave your comments below. For DealNews.com, along with Louis Ramirez and Dan Ledbetter, I'm Jeff Summergy. Goodbye.